Beneath Spain's wrought iron balconies and cobblestone streets lie voices. They are trapped in objects from the past. When touched, when the sun goes down, they tell their story. Be advised that this is a horror podcast with very adult themes. Let me ask you something. Do you ever have dark thoughts? Like, really dark thoughts? Terrible things that later you're ashamed of? Some people think they can change reality with their minds. No, wait, hear me out here. Prayer, certain forms of meditation, manifesting one's own reality, the secret. Any of that ring a bell? Whether you believe in it or not, there are tons of other humans who do, both for good and for bad. Me personally, I'm not so sure I buy it. Although, this one thing did happen to me once, many years ago. I had just come to Madrid, and I fell in with a new group of local friends. They were mostly kind and welcoming, but there was one guy, we'll call him Diego. He took every opportunity to mock me, belittle me, make fun of my nationality and accent, my sexuality, you name it. The guy just really had it out for me. Everyone else just kind of laughed it off and, oh, he's just that way, he's just kidding around. And I didn't want to seem like a baby, so I would cry by myself in the bathroom. One day, it got so bad that I decided to vent to a friend outside this group. I just wish he'd go somewhere and die. I didn't mean that, of course. I think. A week later, I got a call that Diego had picked up an unknown disease while traveling in a foreign country and was in serious danger of death. That couldn't have been because of me, right? Should I be ashamed? Yo soy Samuel. Bienvenido a Spanish Sunday. It's Friday evening. Claudio is sitting on an outdoor patio in the Plaza del Rey, or King Square, staring at him across the square. The house of the 7 Chimneys is right behind him. It's this red brick mansion with strips of stone running vertically between the windows with bars on them on the bottom floor, and the iron balconies on the second story. Of course, it has 7 chimneys on the rooftop. They look like smokestacks, outlined against the setting sun. It smells like early autumn. Brown oak leaves wafting in the warm breeze, spilled beer and piss on the paving tiles, after a weekend of Americans, Brits, and Germans partying a little too hard. A constant haze of cigarette smoke permeating over it all. And the bugs. There's this wasp that just won't quit. Claudio's eyes are trained on him. Across the square, sitting on the patio at a different bar, next to the Eastern European accordion player trying to pass for Spanish for all the tourists. Sitting with all his friends, sipping gin and tonics at their outdoor table. Chatting, laughing, ogling all the boys around. They're each wearing the same pijo or Spanish rich boy uniform. Hair gelled straight back, pinstriped button-up shirts, pants so tight they leave nothing to the imagination. His pants are white. Claudio knows him, of course. Joaquin. They met somewhere around a year back. It was just one night, but they had a good time together. A night of passion. He was hot and he was handsome. Nothing happened, they just kind of lost touch. It's funny, this neighborhood used to be pretty sketchy. Joaquin never would have been caught dead here back then. This is where you went to score heroin after the dictatorship fell.
Hey dude, you want some smack?
Find ridiculously cheap rent in apartments that you shared with sex workers and artists who everyone knew would never make it.
Are those cockroaches?
And where you never brought your wallet because you knew at some point you'd get robbed. But then the gay community took over. For years now, rents have been steadily rising, the bars have gotten trendier, and all the junkies have been replaced by fabulous drag queens.
Hey boy!
In other words, gentrification. Which explains why Joaquin is so comfortable here with his rich friends now. The wasp buzzes around Claudio's head. It lands on his forearm.
Got you.
Claudio stands. He's going to go say hello.
Venga, hombre. Hombre, es que tú, Joaquín, siempre con tus historias.
Hey, Joaquin!
Joaquin looks kind of stunned.
Sorry, I don't know you.
Joaquin and all his rich boy friends are staring at Claudio. How drunk is Joaquin?
Yeah, we met like a year ago at, maybe you know me. A lot of people know me. But I definitely don't know you.
What the hell, Joaquin? Claudio knows he knows who he is. And he's got this smug smirk on his face under his gelled back hair. He looks slappable. All his friends are laughing at Claudio. Mocking him. And he knows why he's doing this. To be clear, Joaquin isn't brushing Claudio off because of the gay thing. Spain was the third country in the world to legalize gay marriage in 2004. And even the upper conservative classes are pretty tolerant now. No, that's not why. It's because Claudio is from the south of Madrid. The working class area, where they slur their consonants together. Where the cleaning ladies and doormen who work for families like Joaquin's come from. It's because Claudio's not named Borja Mari with 20 different fancy-sounding surnames, and he's missing a few zeros in his bank account. Blood pounds under his red-hot cheeks.
Whatever, dude.
So, he just walks away. Asshole. Humiliation like this makes Claudio fantasize. It takes his mind to dark places. He can see it in his mind, as real as if it were occurring in real life, right in front of him. Joaquin standing there in the square in his tight white pants, shitting them. His friends laugh at him. And Joaquin gets taken down a notch. Claudio would even admit it. This image gives him little prickles of joy, just imagining it. But this is real life, and Joaquin isn't shitting himself. He's still laughing with his friends, not even looking at Claudio as he walks away.
Screw you, Joaquin.
Claudio heads back in the direction of the House of the Seven Chimneys. There's that wasp again. He skirts the mansion, turning a corner, leaving the square behind, out of view. He looks up at the rooftop. There's someone up there. Or something. Flitting between the smokestacks. It looks like a woman in a nightgown. And she's glowing. She's shaking something in her hand. It jingles. She's looking down at Claudio. He looks all around in every which direction. Is anyone else seeing this? But there's no one else on the street. Or, at least, not that he can see. Because the sun has gone down.
What is this?
And it's dark. Claudio picks up the pace, following the perimeter of the wall. Suddenly, a voice.
Hey, Claudio, wait up.
Oh, fuck you, Joaquin.
No, wait, I'm sorry.
You're an asshole, man. And you're drunk.
I want to kiss you. Not interested, Joaquin.
Dude, don't touch me. I mean it. Get off me.
I'm sorry, my friends are jerks. Of course I remember you.
Get off me.
When Joaquin pushes Claudio, he looks back up at the rooftop. The glowing woman has jumped off the roof and is flying straight at the two boys. And then, everything freezes. Joaquin is paralyzed, his mouth open. The only thing moving is the lady from the roof, still flying toward the two of them. And Claudio. Claudio is moving. Claudio is falling. Joaquin has pushed him straight into the wall. And as he makes contact with the rough brick, the voices enter. With a vengeance. Scraping along the inside of his veins. Angry, moshing and bouncing inside his skull. Pain from the inside out. Screams. The voices have a story to tell. Elena Osorio was staring at the door, waiting for him to knock. It wouldn't be long now. He never took long after sending word that he would be visiting her. She was angry at him. But more than angry, she felt humiliated. Elena did not like to feel humiliated. And this wasp wasn't doing anything to improve her mood. If only she could crush it between her hands. And there he was.
Enter.
King Philip II strode into the room with confidence. He had such a smug smirk on his face. With the beginnings of the famous inbred Habsburg chin, framed by his handlebar mustache and goatee, silk doubloons and tights, a fitted vest-like breastplate.
Oh, Elena, don't be angry. You had to have known that I couldn't marry you anyway.
But why did you have to marry her?
I don't need to explain myself to you, but for one, because I want an heir worthy of my name. Mary Tudor has the pedigree my future son will need to reign. Our marriage will unite our empires. And second, because I can. Need I remind you that I am the king?
Of course he could do whatever he wanted. In 1550 Spain, Philip II was the most powerful man in the world. He was the great-grandson of Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, the very same queen and king who sent Columbus to the New World a century earlier. Recently, he had expanded his holdings, almost the entire South American continent, and into North America up the Pacific coast, and then inland on the massive unexplored continent. The empire was flush with a constant flow of gold, tobacco, and even slaves from the Americas. He was powerful, and he had money. Which, at the end of the day, is really the same thing. His grin was smug.
In any event, my dear, I'll still come to visit you. Speaking of which, move along. I haven't got much time.
As he took his clothing off, she followed him to the bed. She didn't really have a choice, after all. Elena felt doubly humiliated. And that damn wasp was still flying around. Over his sweaty back, landing on her hand, into her mouth. Elena stifled a cry as she swallowed the wasp. Its tiny feet and papery wings made its way down her esophagus into her stomach, flitting and beating about. She wanted to vomit.
Well, that's done then,
said the king as he put on his shirt.
By the way, you're to be married too.
Elena shot up in the bed, holding the sheets to her chest.
Excuse me?
Yes, to a soldier of mine, Zapata. A fine fellow. You'll get along with him just splendidly. And to show you that there are no hard feelings, I'll be the godfather at your wedding. And I'm giving you a house. I think you'll like the place. A stone mansion with 7 chimneys.
Elena felt triply humiliated. He was already at the door before she could answer. King Philip turned around one last time.
I'll send word next time I want to see you.
The wasp writhed in her stomach. And as it did, an idea occurred to Elena. What if King Philip felt the same humiliation that she felt? King Philip walked down the hall toward his bodyguard. The man had become quite an aficionado of tobacco, ever since it had come from Spain's plantations in the Americas.
Your Highness? Keep an eye on her. I think she might become a problem.
At your orders, Your Highness.
First, as was expected of her, Elena attended King Philip II's wedding to Mary Tudor of England in 1554. She then attended her own when she was married to Zapata, the soldier. Besides acting as godfather and giving them the house, he had the gall to make another offering. That smug, smirking smile on his face the entire time.
A gesture of my affection for the bride and groom. I hereby give you these 13 wedding coins.
The crowd went wild.
Oh, what a generous man.
What a kind-hearted king.
Long live King Philip II.
Elena could only feel the wasp roiling in her bowels. More than one wasp, it had now grown into a swarm. Yes, one day soon, King Philip would know humiliation. In fact, Elena wasn't married for long. Zapata was sent to the Flanders War in 1557 and promptly died on the battlefront at the Battle of St. Quentin. She quickly settled into her new life in the House of the 7 Chimneys with her father, who had come to live with her. She didn't spend the 13 coins either. She always kept them in a purse around her waist, a reminder of the humiliation that King Philip would one day feel. When he sent word that he wished to see her the following morning, she knew that that time had come. She slipped out of the house in the dead of night, carefully latching the door behind her. She looked both ways before walking out onto the street, making sure no one was watching her. Once satisfied that she was alone, she began making her way toward the city. So dark was the night that she did not see the man in the shadows. But there was a faint smell of tobacco smoke in the air. Elena's destination was at the end of a gloomy, dead-end alleyway, a door so low that she had to stoop to enter.
Welcome, my child,
said the old woman with gray, stringy hair. Behind her was a table, covered in an assortment of dried rosemary and sage. There was a heap of dead ravens, rabbits, and other skeletons, and a large iron cauldron.
Do you have it?
The woman held a cloth pouch up in front of Elena's face, then opened it. She took a pinch of its contents in her hand. Powdered herbs.
One puff in his face, and the deed is done. And with this, he will never sire an heir?
The woman turned to the table behind her, the one covered in dried plants, animal carcasses, and pots. She picked something up from the heap of dead animals. Her back still turned to Elena, the old woman spoke.
Do you see what I hold in my hand? So will be his manhood.
Then she turned around. Elena saw that she was holding a dead, dry, shriveled mouse. The swarm of wasps in her belly titillated in expectation. When Elena left the old woman's house, The smell of pipe tobacco was still in the air. But the man was long gone. He was running to the king's residence, the Alcázar Palace, on the other side of Madrid. The bodyguard quickly made his way to the king's chambers.
Enter.
Your Highness,
And
she went to see the witch. She has indeed become a problem.
The king paused for a moment, sighed, and then spoke.
then handle the problem.
The bodyguard nodded and left. He knew what was expected of him. Elena was waiting in her room for the king, at the ready. Her wasps buzzed in anticipation. The pinch of powdered herbs in her hand. When he knocked, she flung the door open and blew the herbs in his face. It was only then that she realized her mistake. This wasn't King Philip. He had sent his bodyguard, and he clearly wished her harm. The bodyguard took a long drag of his pipe, then leapt toward her. Alerted by her cries, Elena's father came running to the room.
What on earth?
The bodyguard made short work of him, too, then quickly grabbed the bodies and dragged them away. By the time the servants came, all they saw were 2 pools of blood.
My God, what has happened?
The 2 bodies had vanished. Elena had vanished. Or had she? Not in the strictest sense of the word. Confined to the house of the 7 chimneys, Elena's ghost roamed the place. Her 13 coins jingling in the purse around her waist. Her swarm of wasps writhing in her now transparent stomach. She used the centuries before her to punish each new occupant of the House of the 7 Chimneys for the humiliation she never could make King Philip feel. The 1860s hoop-skirted mother who mocked her daughter's stutter? After Elena breathed her wasps into her face, she was eternally tongue-tied.
I can't.
The 1930s father in his bowler hat who hated his son's effeminate ways?
Don't be such a sissy.
Strangely enough, he began to bleed once a month from down there. He never saw the wasps stinging him between the legs at night.
What the hell?
The uncle who played doctor with his young niece? Remember the shriveled mouse? Remember the shriveled mouse. On that note, King Philip ended up marrying a total of 4 times and fathered 8 children. One of them, Philip III, went on to continue his lineage. His bodyguard, though, inexplicably, never could have any children. And for some reason, the sight of a dead mouse brought him to tears. And bitter Elena spent the years, the many years, flitting about the rooftop, between the chimneys, crossing herself and pointing at the royal palace where the Alcázar once stood, signaling the home of the man responsible for her death, King Philip II. Always jingling her purse with the 13 coins. As the voices leave, Claudio comes to just in time to see Elena touch down on the street, right in front of Claudio and Joaquin. There are wasps churning around in her transparent abdominal cavity, writhing through the outline of her non-existent intestines, swirling around the 2 boys. Thousands and thousands of them. Joaquin is frozen, his eyeballs bulging. Right when the legion of wasps pushes him against the wall, his group of friends comes around the corner.
Dude, Joaquin, where were you? Wait, why are you talking to this asshole?
He doesn't answer. They can't see Elena. They can't see the wasps. But Claudio can. Joaquin can. They're pushing against his lips, forcing them open, crawling and climbing and flitting down his throat with their tiny legs and papery wings. Into his bowels. And that's when Claudio sees it. Or rather, that's when he smells it. A huge brown stain on the back of his white designer pants. His friends are laughing.
Look! Oh my God, did he just shit his pants?
Elena turns to Claudio. She says nothing, but she smiles. A smug, smirking smile. She has just given him what he wanted. Humiliation for humiliation. This is what he wanted, right? It was his fantasy, right? Isn't this the part in the story when the bully gets his comeuppance? He's so humiliated that he runs away and never bothers anyone ever again. He realizes how terrible his behavior was and turns into a nice person. Unfortunately for Claudio, this isn't a story. It's just his life. And Joaquin is a jerk. And he's probably going to keep being a jerk. Actually, this isn't about Joaquin. It's about Claudio. He wanted this to happen, but now that it has, he feels empty. Why did Claudio think this would make him feel better? It doesn't. In fact, he feels just like the shit on the back of Joaquin's pants. He wonders if Elena feels any better after inflicting hundreds of humiliations over the years. He watches her float up toward the rooftop with the 7 chimneys, her swarm of wasps trailing after her. He wonders,
should I be ashamed?
Hola, Samuel here. King Philip II is a fascinating character who undeniably did a lot of good for Spain. He built the spectacular El Escorial Monastery, UNESCO World Heritage, and where the entire royal family is buried. His reign saw important cultural milestones. Cervantes, of Don Quixote fame, began his career. The painter Greco first wet his brush while he was on the throne. Architect Juan de Herrera laid his first stones under his watch. And he gathered the greatest minds in technology, science, and math. And, according to some, he also had one of his wives and children murdered for political reasons. This mystery around his person is what makes the many variations on the legend of the House of the 7 Chimneys so intriguing. Some say that Elena's father killed her when he found out about her affair with King Philip, or that she was never with King Philip at all. Others say King Philip was the good guy and was actually trying to protect her. They also say that she was pregnant with his child and he had her killed. I guess we'll never know for sure. I can only tell you the story that the voices tell me. What we do know is this. When the Ministry of Culture took over the House of the 7 Chimneys in the 1980s, construction workers made a shocking discovery hidden in the stone walls of the home. First, a man's skeleton, and then a woman's. And the woman was clutching 13 coins from the time of Philip II in what used to be a purse around her waist. Check the show notes for pictures and the location of the House of the 7 Chimneys. You can even see the square where Claudio, Joaquin, and Elena faced off. I'm Samuel Mattern, and I created and produced this podcast. Special thanks to Simon Jones for the original theme music. And remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit. Just search for Spanish Sundown. Until night falls and the voices speak again, thank you for listening to Spanish Sundown.